So welcome to my class, Unit 2, Collection of Data. And we were doing the sampling methods, all of that we did, random, non-random. And now in this, while collecting the sample, there could crop up some errors. So we're going to do statistical errors. So when we are talking about that, errors could be in the nature of, say manipulation, then inadequacy, it could be error of interpretation, it could be even errors of calculation or even errors of origin. So just go through this. It is briefly we're going to do it. So in common language, error refers to a mistake, which means wrong calculation, but in statistics, the difference between the estimated value and the actual value of fact is known as statistical errors. So that's what we are doing. Such errors may arise due to the following reasons. Let's just take about the error of manipulation. These errors arise due to manipulation in counting, measurement, and approximation of the figures. So then another error could be we can talk about error of inadequacy. It may arise due to the use of incomplete data. Also, a statistical error could come up because of error of interpretation. Such errors take place when investigators misinterpret data. So you have this. Then it could be error of calculation, statistical error because of calculation. Such errors arise because of wrong arithmetic calculations due to clerical errors, omission of some figures, taking wrong values, or making wrong totals by respondents or the investigator. And of course, statistical errors also crop up because of errors of origin. That means due to lack of proper definition of the subject matter, or defective questionnaire, or improper sampling. So that is originally itself, because of that the errors come up. So error of origin. So if there is an error in the questionnaire itself, or then what happens? Obviously your results, there will be an error in your results. And talking about that, so what are these statistical errors? Once again, just have a look. So what are they? They are statistical errors can be broadly classified into sampling and non-sampling errors. But what is a sampling error? So sampling error refers to the differences between, as we said, the sample result and the census result of the characteristics of the population. The results drawn from the sample may not be 100% correct, even if utmost care has been taken. Why? Let's take an example. If the income of 5 workers of a factory are given, okay, and the average income is so much, all right, so then what happens? Now if we select sample of 2 individuals whose incomes are given as so much rupees, 1000 and 1200, the sample average will be 1100 rupees. So the sampling error of the estimate is equal to 1200, that is true value, minus 1100, that is the estimate, is equal to 100 rupees. So talking about, so is that clear? So this is how the sampling errors do crop up. So based on that, there are 2 types. They can be divided into 2 types. So this is what is known as sampling errors are of 2 types. One is biased errors and the other is unbiased error. Now what is a biased error or mistake, or as it's known as? Biased errors are the errors which arise as a result of any prejudice of the selector, any partiality of the selector. If deliberate sampling method is adopted in place of simple random sampling method, some errors will certainly arise. Such errors are also known as cumulative errors or non-compensating errors, as bias or prejudice remains constant as the number of sample increases. That is why it is known as that. Then we have what is known as unbiased errors. So unbiased errors are accidental in nature and are without any bias of the investigators. These errors come up because not because of any bias on part of the investigator, but because of the chance difference between the units of the population included in the sample and those not included. It is known as random sampling error. It goes on decreasing on an average as the size of the sample increases. Therefore, these errors can be minimized if we take a large sample size. So now we've talked about what is known as sampling errors. So sampling errors are of two types, as we've seen. What are they? They are biased errors and non-biased errors. Now let's talk about non-sampling errors. Now non-sampling errors can take place in any type of survey, whether it is be it census or a sample survey. These errors are also called as measurement errors. These errors are committed intentionally or unintentionally in the investigation. These include all biases and mistakes. They also occur due to negligence, lack of knowledge, or forgetfulness on part of the informants. It is difficult to minimize them even by taking a large sample. So that is what it is. All right. So these are what we did as statistical errors. So you can get a small 3 marks question as what do you mean by statistical errors, and you can talk about that.